What's up, you guys? We are, oh my gosh, what's today? It's Wednesday night when I'm filming this. So tomorrow is the new moon of Virgo. I hope everyone is going to do tashlik. Cast your sins upon bread and throw them into water and watch them wash away. And, by sins, we're talking about parts of you that you're ready to grow beyond and evolve, things that you don't want to do anymore, or, ways that you don't want to be, things that are holding you back from your potential or your soul purpose, all kinds of things. Don't get too caught up in the word sin. This is like, the ego parts of the self that send you in these cycles of sabotage, self-sabotage, and limiting beliefs, and toxic cycles and patterns and lessons that you're just ready to grow beyond and not have to go through again and again and again. So if you've been following, the last 40 days have been all about deep diving and self-reflection and thinking about how we want to change moving forward. And so many people that I've been talking to that aren't even aware that this time is going on are still in alignment with the energy, and they have still been going through the self-reflection, and they've been feeling the tests, and they've been trying to do what they can to pass them. So it's really super fun talking to people who are not even like fully aware of what is happening or this time of year. And it's like, it's still, everyone is just falling right into like the zeitgeist, the collective conscious of like trying to do this in unity. It's really cool. So yeah, everybody is basically during Rosh Hashanah, starting sundown on Friday, this super powerful light of the creator is just like coming in, and pretend you're like a vessel, like a vase, and you're receiving all of this light. And this light of the creator is like all of this blessing and life force and abundance and miracle juice for the whole year. And at the same time, it's like your soul is being redeemed and given like basically like soul dry cleaning, a new soul for the next year. So it's a spiritual new year where your debt is washed away, and it's sort of like a resurrection and rebirth. And so the self-reflective period has been to basically prepare ourselves so that we're very conscious of what it is that we want to change. We've thought about it. We've solidified it in our intention, so that moving forward, we can actually try to put this into practice and embody this in the year to come. This also coincides with the north node and the south node of the moon just shifting from, let's see, what was it in Taurus and Scorpio, shifted into, so the north node went into Aries and the south node into Libra. The north node is about what we're moving towards and becoming, and Aries moving into the north node is causing us to consider like who it is that we want to be from now on going forward, and how we want to show up in this life, and what we want to do, and who we don't want to be anymore, what we're done with. But this is like that new up-leveled self coming through and wanting to express in the way that we live and move and have our being in the world, and how we take action. And so the south node in Libra, the south node is what we're moving away from, the things that we've already been doing or already learned, or lessons we're ready to move past. And so Libra has to do with our interrelational relationships with people, how we interact with that which is outside of us. So, that means that we are becoming more aware of the unhealthy relationship dynamics and patterns that we have had modeled for us, and that we're repeating, or that we have had, playing out subconsciously, right, in our lives, like these relationship patterns that aren't that are destructive, or that aren't helpful, or that aren't helping us grow, or that aren't, giving us full healthy, fruitful relationships. So it's like we're changing the way we interact with people. And so we're becoming different. And so our relationships and our dynamics can be different now too. But it takes conscious participation and self-awareness and discipline and just the ability to bounce back, be resilient. Like when you've made a mistake, whatever, blow it off, just get back in line. Just reset. Don't let it drag you down. Don't let it upset you. Don't let it discourage you. Just keep moving forward. So this is in alignment with the North Node and the South Node. This is in alignment with the yearly season of Teshuvah and Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. And so also, this is falling into alignment with the messages that we've been talking about now for the last 2 years. So 2022 was a year where we cleared the ground and we prepared the way to start building a new foundation and basically hop timelines to have like a whole new life story. The first, like if life was a series, the first whole half of your life now, like the series is complete. That series was put in the can and now you can buy the collector's set with director's commentary. However, the show got renewed immediately. So we're reintroducing the series. Similar characters, you're still here, but the old canon of the previous scripts and storylines no longer have to apply anymore. We are jumping timelines into an up-leveled version of a version of ourselves that's more expanding into our higher potential. It's an embodiment of self that is more reflective of that higher self, right? It's like we're not fully there yet. We're always works in progress, but it's like we're hitting a next level. Like we've jumped like a gap, like a what is it called? An educational curve, like a there's been like a huge exponential like ability to expand basically this year. So, new timeline, new self, who dis, it's kind of all coinciding. And so this whole year, it's like the birth of the new self has been sort of starting, but not without like these continual cycles of like these death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, resurrection, death, rebirth. And each month or every few weeks, it's like we've been taken through these different categories and situations within our lives where we have to now face these similar situations again as our new self in like this initiation to see how we're going to show up now. How are we learning how to become the new self? It's like we've been in our infancy this year and we've been, trying to like break in this new self, like a new pair of shoes without falling back into that default setting, right? You know how like an old pair of shoes will be like your postural inconsistencies will have worn down, the soles, and so your shoes aren't necessarily symmetrical anymore. They've adjusted to your maybe poor posture. Well, pretend now that it's like we've had an adjustment, our hips are even, and now we can walk in a healthier way, but we have to get new shoes with new soles, so that we are not walking ourselves out of alignment anymore, right? We're keeping that alignment. What a metaphor. Oh my God. So it's like we're breaking in these new shoes, but because we're so used to walking with a slight gimp or a little bit of, let's see, what is it? What is the asymmetry, right? We're used to, our bodies sort of like shifting back into that comfortable offset, right? And that's why, you have to constantly keep readjusting when you start getting chiropractic stuff, or when you're like, I guess maybe doing like yoga training to like realign your spine, and sort of therapeutic exercises like that. It takes a minute to readjust the structure and rebuild the muscles and the tendons around that to like hold it solid. Otherwise, you sort of start slipping back into default setting, right? What's comfortable, what the body is used to. So we're learning this year how to walk the new path with our new souls without kind of slipping back into our default setting, into our old muscle memory. And so again, you know, it's felt like all year, it's like we're so ready to start this new life and have this new experience. But it's sort of like when at NASA, the rocket is on the launch pad and you don't just get to like turn on the key and like pull up, you know, pull out of the driveway. It's different. There's all kinds of systems that need to be turned on in an order, right? And they build upon one another and it warms up until you're like all systems go. So now I believe that we are like all systems go and we're prepared for launch. So the Rosh Hashanah moment, like this weekend, this next 3 weeks, this high holy holidays, basically over the next 3 days during Rosh Hashanah, the light will come in and pretend it's like coming in like a shower through your crown and just like filling your whole soul and your whole body, like you're one big vessel. Pretend you're like a big vase, just ready to like contain as much light as you can. And so after Sunday, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, light showers. And then over the next 10 days, each level of the soul, you know, remember you've seen chart. Have you guys seen chart? I have a chart on my shorts videos, and you can see me holding the chart in the picture. Go look at that. It's the tree of life. I do a quick like little explanation of it. There's like 10 governing forces of reality. These are the 10 dimensions of consciousness. These are the 10 dimensions of our soul. These are the 10 governing forces of the Godhead. These are the pieces of the aspect of God's personality that is expressed through reality. So each day for these 10 days corresponds to a different level of consciousness that each of these governing forces is associated with. And so there's going to be each day, we're going to be tested in that category to be tempted to sort of short circuit. And it's going to be our job to try to maintain the light, not get bogged down with fear, lack, doubt, uncertainty, insecurity, jealousy, all of those little small self-ego, selfish, like self-involved, like victimizing myself, like all of that stuff. Like we need to put that on pause if we can for the next 3 weeks. So over these 10 days, we'll be tested in these different categories each day. And so however we're being tested on Monday, if we do well on Monday, then that means for the next year, our Mondays are going to be better than they would have been had we had a big fit, had we thrown a big fit or done something real shitty on Monday. Tuesday, again, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So for 10 days, we'll be tested, and those days will correspond with the days of the week, you know, leading up through the rest of the year. Okay, what else do we need to know about that? So then once Yom Kippur comes around, that is a day of fasting, and it is a day where you cannot eat food or drink water. You cannot bathe. You have to restrict from brushing the teeth, doing any kind of the body comforts. You're not allowed to wear leather. You're not allowed to wear perfumes or lotions or anything that smells nice. So you have to completely restrict the body's desire for creature comforts on Yom Kippur. And then the final blowing of the shofar happens after the ritualing for Yom Kippur, which basically closes off the lid of the vessel to seal in the light. Now, if you have done well over the last 10 days, it's like you've got your maximum light, it's all sealed in, it's starting to set, like the new soul is like concrete, sort of like starting to dry and harden and solidify and stabilize. And so then the following, I believe, week, I don't know if it's another week or another 10 days. This all out the door, I think, is a 21-day period. And so Sukkot is an additional dose of the light, where it's like the tradition is to shake the lulav, I think is what it's called. And that is its own level of like extra cleansing after all of this cleansing and light blasts and all of that whatnot. It's like an additional, let's revisit, like, let's go. If you've ever written a paper and it's like in the beginning, in the first paragraph, you have to open up and you're going to tell them what you're telling them. And then in the body of the paper, you're going to tell them what you told them you were going to tell them. And then in the conclusion of the paper, tell them what you told them. So basically that's kind of like what it is. It's like Rosh Hashanah. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Yom Kippur, like the week leading up to Yom Kippur. It's like, this is it. And then Sukkot is like revisit, solidify, synopsize, close in. So how you get through Sukkot, if we were in, following tradition and ritual, we would be sitting under, it's not like a gazebo, but those like wooden structures that are open, and then you'll see like vines and stuff growing over them. It's basically like a basic little structure that's open, that like a veil is then thrown over, so that you are basically exposed to the light of the sun, of the stars, of the moon for this entire period. It's like people are camping out, they're like eating outside, they're hanging out, they're under the veil, the thin veil that protects us from the direct blast of the light symbolically, but we're still taking it in. And so the key during this period of the holiday is to be as much in joy and laughter and Thanksgiving and high vibe as you can. Joy, celebration, and the more like high, like on your high flying disc, as Abraham Hicks calls it, you are, it's like we're getting bonus points. We're becoming big Mario, and all that light that we sealed in for the year is getting like turbocharged, right? So this is like your spiritual bank account for the year. This is where the miracles are coming from. This is where the blessings are coming from. This is when you're in a pinch and you're praying for favor and grace. Look back. Like if you participated in all of this that we've been talking about, you'll have some energy set aside for when those days come. Otherwise, we kind of, are looking for a miracle, and in some instances. And sometimes that's coming from our spiritual bank account over here on the scales. It's like, what do we have on the side of light, on the side of sharing that we've put and invested into that light side of the light, versus how much debt do we have over here that we have to work off on the side of the negativity that's built up, right? And so this is about our earthly comfort, right, in this realm. This is not talking about the afterlife necessarily, although as we elevate the soul in this life, that's the soul we take with us into the afterlife. We have no process once we die. We can only like alchemize our density and negativity and do that soul correction here. And so souls on the other side are like, man, this is where all the action is on earth. We bemoan like being here, but actually all the spiritual like people and the soul people on the other side, they're like, oh, I want to go back into the physical so I can go through the process, so I can elevate my sparks of light while I can. Because once we're out of the body, there's no vehicle in which to do that in. So it's like we need each other. All these other people, like we need each other to work this stuff out with, right? So basically that gives you a rundown of what the reading was about today. This testing period that we're in now, it's like basically because all of this surrounding light is preparing, like look, like just like the lamp right there, all this light right here coming out of my crown, pretend like that's the light of the Creator starting to gather around me, getting ready, starting to build, to come in, to want to come into my vessel. This is all sugary potential of miracle and blessings and magical growth and expansion and affinity with the light and building and opening up into my, like our fullest potential, our higher self, right? So the Satan, the opponent, is like, ooh, sugar, candy, like ants, right? Female Satan and the male Satan are gathering around, and what they want to happen is they want us to short circuit. They can't still the light unless we do something to like spill it, right? So we have to short circuit. We have to, blow a fuse, right? Have a meltdown, lose hope, or pop off, or like, fall under temptation, or go back into our old ways or whatever. So when we do that, the light starts spilling out, right? It can't go into the vessel because the vessel, in order to receive the light, it's like the law of attraction. We have to have affinity with the light in order to connect with it. So we have to be in manifest states that are like the light. If we are in an ego state, we are not manifesting traits that have affinity with the light, and therefore we no longer resonate with that light, and it doesn't come into the vessel. It spills out everywhere. And so the opponent starts gathering that up and taking it over to the side of the dark to create shells of negativity that hide our light, and it create a more of a process for us to have to like work that off and earn it back to the other side of the scale. So the male Satan's doing his thing to tempt us and trip us up. Meanwhile, if we do mess up, female Satan comes around and she's like, oh, you're just worthless now. You're just such a piece of shit. Don't you feel horrible about yourself? You're worthless. You don't deserve anything. You're never going to amount to anything. You can't change. Like, she comes in and makes you feel like shit. She comes in and makes you feel despondent. She comes in and makes you feel despair. She comes in and makes you feel like blasé, like you just don't even, like you don't have any motivation. Like maybe it's not even that obvious where you're just feeling so down on yourself, but maybe you're just feeling like complacent even. And so once you're down in that kind of downward spiral, oh, the vessel is shattered. Then there's nothing to contain it. There's no self-worth. There's no deserving. There's no faith. There's no trust. And so the vessel is shattered. And so then the opponents get double the points and they take all the light and they get extra. And it's like more, of a process that you have to go through again. Whereas if you trip up and your light spills over to the other side, but you're like, you know what? I have certainty in the light of the Creator. This is okay. I messed up, but you know what? I can see where I went wrong. And I wouldn't have seen where I went wrong had this not happened. And I'm going to use this moment to make a power play towards alchemizing my darkness. And it's like a highlighter where I can see even more clearly what needs to evolve and heal. And I can tackle it from every corner. I'm going to go at it spiritually. I'm going to go at it energetically. I'm going to go at it vibrationally. I'm going to take action in the physical world to counteract it. I'm going to pray about it. Like you're gonna freaking overcome it. And if you don't let yourself fall into despair and you choose to have absolute certainty that the Creator can turn anything around in any minute because the Creator is omnipresent and is within all things, then it's like that is the secret sauce that releases the miracle. And what happens then, if you keep the faith and you don't let yourself be resigned to despair and you turn it around and you make good, you make the changes and you really elevate those sparks of light, you change your consciousness moving forward, and you have actual transformation, then you get all those sparks back. And even get to be like bigger, like Super Mario'd, right? Instead of just regular Mario. So yes, so careful because the female Satan comes in for the 1-2 punch and the second right hook, and she takes the double points. But if you beat her, then you get double points back. So don't get discouraged. However, this week, that's why I'm saying like we might be tempted, leading up to Rosh Hashanah and during Rosh Hashanah and around these times, that's where the tests are coming in. So that's why it feels like lately we've been under a pressure cooker, because the point is that the Creator is using the opponent to help us break the ego so that it can finally be fully brought out into the light and healed. So we've got the drowned king. This is about that deluge into the abyss of spiritual death and rebirth, that death of the ego, that death of the small self that we are working towards. Don't resist it, because the hanged man came up with it as clarity. And so this moment is the hanged man. This moment leading up to Rosh Hashanah, the last 40 days, these last couple of days leading up to the day of tomorrow, when we do tashlik and we put all of that we've been working on into the bread and we think about it consciously again and we cast it out into the water, this is that hanged man moment to take a pause in action. And in a seeming moment of like this bosom of what looks like inactivity, it's basically like a womb of protection where we are allowed to catch our breath so that we can change our perspective and spiritually realign. So this card with the drowned king, this is the message of Teshuvah that we have just come through. So again, going deep into the process, really opening your heart to be broken, and let your ego hit that rock bottom, and be like really proactive about seeing it and embrace that and be joyful and glad about, you know, you might feel like crying and purging, you know, you might have all kinds of feelings, and that's okay. That's not a short circuit. You can have those feelings. You can observe them. You don't want to bury them. You want to look at them and learn more about them. But it's what you do with that. So this is about letting yourself fully see the truth about you, about how your actions have affected others, how your choices have affected your life, like the state of your life that you're in. Get really honest with yourself and let the deluge come over into that abyss so that you can finally just like let that go and surrender that ego, that small self, to the care of the higher self. The agenda of the higher self is to align your soul with its elevation, with its purpose, you know, with its healing, healing those areas of your life that have always had difficulty, right? That's really our sole purpose in this world. It's not, necessarily to find that one perfect job that we're just great at, and that, does something for other people too. That's part of our purpose. It can be, but our real purpose is to change, is to grow, is to evolve, is to expand, is to become more compassionate, more understanding, wiser, more discerning, stronger, able to give more grace, right? All of those things that have affinity with the Creator, to be eternal, to have unconditional love. And like when I think of eternal, I think of something that's unwavering, it's unfluctuating, it doesn't stop, it doesn't start, it's just ongoing. It doesn't take back or pause or have moods. It's constant. And so we're trying to have that kind of stability in the light of the Creator. Now, Saturn came up next to the drowned man. Saturn is sort of like, the gig's up, time's up, you're like, what do you have to show for yourself? Like the stern teacher is back. Think about the nun with the ruler, like slapping the hand, the strict father. I mean, look at this like reaper here. It just cuts out what doesn't belong. Saturn is about discipline. It's about, follow through. It's about getting rid of what doesn't belong and being able to let that go. It is about self-discipline, but sometimes it can be a disciplinary hand of a stern father coming in for the good of the child, right? For the evolution of teaching. Saturn is a strict teacher. Saturn will let you know, are you on time? Are you running late? Do you have structures that can support what you want to create? Saturn is pragmatic. Saturn is practical. Saturn is about follow through. Saturn is about putting putting thought into action. Saturn is discipline. Saturn is the father of the zodiac. Saturn is earth, grounded, follow through, very mature, very like old soul energy. So this with the Knight of Wands, it's like as we're kind of like showing up to the spiritual court, it's like when you're gonna go to court and you've been doing things like in good is it in good favor or in good, well, when you do something before the court date to build a good positive case for yourself, and you have people like character witnesses speaking for you, and you're just trying to build like a character profile for yourself, right? That's kind of like this Knight of Wands. It's like, oh, suddenly there's a fire under our ass to like get our shit together because Saturn is here and the teacher is here. And it's like, are your assignments ready? Have you been working on the research project that you've had all semester to do? Because teacher's back and it's time to turn in your homework, and you're getting graded now. So I hope you've been doing your work. You know, it's like the Saturn is ready to eat its own child, essentially. So the Knight of Wands, this is like this female Knight of Wands. She's in this like dark environment. Things may not be fully certain yet, but she's ready to take action, and she's ready to jump through hoops to make her dreams come true. And don't get caught up in like gender, but this is just, I think, an integrated energy to me with these characters that are typically male or masculine. When they have a feminine presence, to me, it means that both the feminine aspects of taking action as the Knight of Wands and the masculine aspects of that are sort of married, right? So it's like an internal marriage in the psyche. So it's like we are knowing in our intuition like what needs to be done, and then we have enough fire under our ass to take action and get it done. And so the knights, they're all about going after something, taking action, charging, like pursuing something, or going out and doing adventurous things. But it's about putting yourself out there, taking risks, but getting started. And so to me, this is about like getting a fire under your ass to make the changes that we need to make in order to become this person, this version of ourselves that we know that we can be. And then we have sparks of light. That is basically what it's all about this week. So the sparks of light are coming in. This is about new inspiration, spiritual renewal. This is literally the light of Creator coming in to fill up our soul with all of this like miraculous potential and magic for the year. And so now, like, even in this imagery, it just reminds me of what we were just talking about, the solidity of the light. You can see like some of the spray off here of like just like almost the image of, you know, the light gathering and condensing and coming into this vessel here and filling it with light, so much so that it's spilling over, that my cup runneth over, right? So underneath Queen of Wands, this is like the new self being born. The Queen of Wands holding this sunflower. It's like, illuminated, reawakened, passionate, charismatic, full of life, full of drive, full of inspiration, but also like not just driven to work into the ground. This is a person who can celebrate. People love them. They're surrounded by warm and supporting and fulfilling relationships. They're great at their career and their purpose. They're confident. They're self-assured. They're abundant. They're charismatic. They have passion and love in their lives. They have a spiritual vigor and direction about them. The Wands category is all about self-esteem and spirituality and our spiritual connection with divine. So it's the fire, right? So our fire is being relit, and I can't think of a better character to move forward after getting all of that light than the Queen of Wands. She's warm, she's loving, she's loved, she's beloved, she's very popular. You know, this is about like abundance and shining bright and, you know, like really drawing positive attention, being a channel of light for the Creator, being a channel of sharing, right? And shining in a way that is it's like being a beacon of light, being a great ambassador of the creator, right? So great things to come. Wonderful blessings on the other side of all of this. I hopefully will get back to shorter videos soon, but this is all pretty much some of the most important work we do for the year. So I don't know. I hope you've been enjoying the content. If not, then I guess don't watch. I don't know how to do any, like, I can't be any more concise sometimes. I'm trying to get faster. My TikTok videos are shorter, and I've been taking clips of those and doing shorts on YouTube. So that's something if you only have a little bit of time. And yeah, so you can always come back and like watch it in sections and then get more views. All right, you guys, like this video if you're still here, for God's sakes, help me out. Subscribe to the channel. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Thank you for joining us. Like, share, comment. Anything that you do to take action on this video helps these videos spread out into the algorithm so other people can see them too. So yeah, I want to spread these messages so that other people can start benefiting from them as well. So when you take actions, even just pressing a little button, you help with that. All right, y'all. And if you happen to want to support the channel, sometimes people ask me, I do have a PayPal link and Venmo below. If you're looking to tithe or patronize a content creator or what have you. But yeah, also right now as we speak, the new moon in Virgo workshop is uploading. That is another long one, but it is also preparing us for the next, the high holidays. So again, these are kind of like master classes lately. So, they could be pretty expensive if you paid for them. I know like just the, some of the things at the Kabbalah Center are about $150. So you're getting all this for free. So don't take it for granted just because it's easy access. Really use it, because this can change your whole year. Even if you just have the slightest bit of consciousness aligned during these days. I mean, the first time I ever even really understood about Rosh Hashanah, I was barely skimming the surface of understanding it. I just knew the basics, the highlights, the cliff notes. And even then that changed my year. And I didn't even get to feast. I was working. I didn't even get to take off work. I was just more aware of it than I was when I wasn't. And that had an effect. It made a noticeable difference through the whole year. So, yay! Shana Tova, y'all. Have a good new moon tomorrow, and let me know if you do Teshlik. I'm gonna try to sneak in a quick mikvah at the lake before I come home and do my bread into the creek in the park behind my house. So let me know if y'all are gonna do it too. All right, ciao.